Hello everyone, welcome to my Flosstube channel. My name is Jessie Lee and I'm coming at you with video number 41. First off, I have to talk about something that's weighing heavy on my mind, and that is to ask you all to keep my sister-in-law in your thoughts and prayers. She was recently diagnosed with cancer, and in June she had a big surgery, and this month she will be getting radiation, and luckily, she won't have to go through chemo because it isn't a particularly dangerous cancer, but it fucking sucks nonetheless. She is a childhood cancer survivor, and she's the mother of my 1-year-old niece, and she just graduated from medical school and is supposed to start her residency in the fall. So all of this is just so stressful and terrible, and I worry about her every day, and I feel so upset for her, and any loving energy or prayers you can send her way would really make a difference, and I would be really grateful. As for Flosstube, once again, I've been away for quite a while. Not for any bad reason. I have just had a busy summer. There's been lots of cool things going on that I'm excited to tell you about. This is going to be more of a life update video because I haven't been doing a whole heck of a lot of cross stitch, but I've still been doing a lot of creative things, and I'm excited to show you those and talk about everything that's been up with me. So let's start with the cross stitch. So here are my temperature rain clouds. I got all the raindrops for the month of June stitched, and I can't believe that this whip and this year are halfway done already. It is just flying by. But I am super happy with how this is turning out. I think it's super cute. Here it is up close. It turned into summer around here really fast. So my colors sort of jump straight from purple into teal and green. So I'm hoping that in the fall we'll come back around to some more cool temperatures and I'll get to stitch the shades of blue that we sort of skipped over. But I really can't complain about the weather around here. It's been absolutely gorgeous. We're having such a mild, pleasant summer. In past years, we've had the very hottest day of the year in June, but we just haven't had a spike like that this year. So I'm sort of held in suspense as to whether I'll even get to stitch the colors at the hottest end of my temperature scale, but I guess we'll see. It's just sort of ironic that the pleasant weather is sort of messing with how my cross stitch is turning out, but I guess that's part of the fun of these pieces. I'm really enjoying this one though. I'm super proud of it, and I have some good news about it. Recently, I finally got to sit down on my computer and fiddle around, and I charted up an electronic copy of the pattern. So I was finally able to put away my gigantic hand-drawn on graph paper pattern and get that out of the way on my desk. And with a little bit more tweaking, I think I'll be able to share the electronic pattern with you guys. It'll be for free. And hopefully in my next Flosstube video, I'll be able to tell you guys about that. But in the meantime, I just want to ask that you guys give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment, because my viewership and engagement has been way down since I haven't been making Flosstube videos as often. I don't usually ask for likes and comments because I'm not trying to be a big YouTuber. I'm just trying to chat with my stitchy friends, but I really would like to get the YouTube algorithm back on my side, so any of my subscribers who like this pattern are able to get it from me, because I'd really like to share it with you all. So if you guys could give me a thumbs up and leave a comment this time, that would be really helpful. And then I did a little bit of stitching on my vintage rainbow whip. The pattern is on a magazine clipping that I bought off of Etsy. It's from the July 1994 issue of For the Love of Cross Stitch magazine. This is what the design looks like. And here is my whip. I most recently stitched this little butterfly right here, and it is really adorable. The colors on it are really bright, and it's just so cute, and it really made me motivated to finish this piece up and really focus on it. I haven't been so motivated to stitch it. Well, for one, it's very seasonal, so I kind of put it aside last fall and winter. And also, this fabric is not my favorite to stitch on. This is 32 count white opalescent Lugana, and it has sort of a rough texture, and I find myself splitting the threads of the fabric quite often, which is annoying. So I've kind of been dragging my feet on this one, but ever since I put in that butterfly, I see how it's all coming together, and I really want to get this done before I go back to school in the end of August. And this next WIP is one that I sort of lost steam on, but I've recently come back around to it, and that is Dear House by Carriage House Samplings. And here is how mine is looking. I'm stitching this 2/2 on 32 count mystery linen from my stash with my own color choices of DMC. And I'm smack in the middle of filling in this humongous block of a house. I should have foreseen that that would be really boring. So I was not into working on this one for a while, but I recently got a new cushy chair and end table in my living room, and that end table has a little drawer on it. So this WIP and the supplies live in that little drawer, and it is the perfect mindless stitch that I can sit and do while I'm amongst my family during the day. So, for the first time ever, I am now cross-stitching during a regular day instead of on my own time at night when I'm by myself, and it's really satisfying, and this is actually really fun now. I also have a finish to show you. Here it is, Into the Forest by Stitchy Princess Black. I stitched this on 36 count Edinburgh linen in the colorway Heather by Fiber on a Whim, and I did switch out some of the DMC colors to ones that would go better with this fabric, but I tried to stay true to Stitchy Princess's original color scheme. And I really love how this turned out. It looks so folksy and cute and peaceful and a little bit mysterious. And I was inspired to stitch this with some glow-in-the-dark thread. So the moon and the bunny and the mushrooms have some bioluminescence, and all of the critters' eyes glow in the dark. And I've charged it up under a bright light and looked at how it glows in a dark closet, and it was absolutely amazing. Of course, I shared it with my kids, and they loved it. And I tried to see if my camera could videotape it or take a picture of it, and it just can't take pictures in the dark of the glow, and it gives me such an angst that I can't share how that looks with you because it's just so cool. But I do highly encourage you to stitch with DMC E940. That's the glow in the dark floss, because it was not difficult to work with, and the effect is so cool. So anything nighttime themed or Halloweeny just really deserves some glow thread, and I really encourage you to try it on a project someday if you haven't already, because it was amazing to use on this, and I have so many more ideas now. So yeah, I really enjoyed stitching this, and I have a few ideas of how I'm going to fully finish it, but I'm not sure when I'll get around to that. Hopefully soon. I haven't FFO'd my little snow bunnies by Stitchy Princess Black that I finished back in the winter time either. So that's probably a project that I will knock out together, those two Stitchy Princess Black WIPs that I did recently. But I'm so happy with this. Isn't it cute? I also have some Stitchy haul. I recently bought 2 more PDF patterns from Mama Witch Cross Stitch over on Etsy. I didn't intend to buy any more patterns, but she saw that I had her patterns in my favorites folder on Etsy, so she sent me a coupon for them, and I thought, oh, that's nice, and I bought them. They are Mr. Frog and Mr. Toad. They have so much character, and I just grin when I see them. So I cannot wait to stitch those two. I have several Mama Witch cross stitch patterns in my stash, and I adore them. And there is no good reason why I haven't gotten around to stitching any of them, but I really hope to soon. Mr. Frog and Mr. Toad are smaller patterns of hers, so maybe I will start with those someday very soon. Well, that's it for cross stitch, but I have another very special project I've been working on, and that is a quilt for my daughter Sylvia. Years ago, I sewed a weighted blanket quilt for my son Glenn, and Sylvia kind of commandeered it and has been sleeping with it every night for over a year now. And that poor quilt needs to be retired because it is profusely leaking beads, the little plastic beads that I put inside to make it weighted. And I'm not sure how they're getting out because I did sew that thing shut very tight, but Sylvia's bed always has a few little beads in it. So that old quilt has got to go. Plus, I made that very much in Glenn's taste, and Sylvia deserves something of her own. So, in time for her birthday, I put this quilt top together. Isn't it sweet? When I showed it to Sylvia, she absolutely loved it. She really seemed to appreciate that I made it for her and think it was special, which really warmed my heart. So I have really got to hurry up and quilt the darn thing so it can be a blankie for her to sleep with at night as soon as possible. But I had so much fun choosing the fabrics for this quilt, and putting it together was a breeze. I was really surprised how easy this butterfly block went together. I am only a beginner quilter, so I really appreciate a block that is forgiving. And this one was. This quilt is a little bit wonky in places, but it's still really cute if you're not examining it too closely. And the pattern I used is called Butterfly Dance, and I got it from Alyssa and Higgs on Etsy. So this is a big project I've been working on that's been taking up my time instead of doing cross stitch, but it has definitely been worth it. It's very special to me. It was fun, and it's very special to Sylvia too. And I hope you like how it looks. It's still hanging from the ceiling right here next to me, and I don't really want to take it down, but once I have it completely sewn into a quilt, I will definitely show it on camera for you guys. So I said that this video would mostly be a life update, and here it goes. June was a really big month for us. At the end of May, Tim got his PTO payout from his old job, and it was a pretty decent chunk of money. So we put some of that to good use right away. We got our cars tuned up and new tires put on, and we got some plumbing fixed in our house, and we got Nickel's spade. That was going to happen anyway, but having that extra money made it less of a burden. Here's a picture of the poor kitty in the cone of shame. She is all healed and happy now. And we also bought that new furniture for the living room, the new upholstered chair and little end table, and a nice console table. Before, in that half of our living room, we only had a really cheap old console table that didn't match anything, and a hardwood rocking chair that nobody ever sat in, and that entire half of the living room was really just wasted space because nobody would sit over there or spend any time there. But now we have the cushy chair and the end table and the pretty console table, so our mail is all organized in the new console table, and I spend a lot of time sitting and stitching in that chair. It's really nice. And then we rented a big dumpster and did a major clear out of our garage and basement. This project was so long overdue. We just had a pile of stuff that had followed us since our early adulthood back in Nebraska. And a lot of it was furniture, and we did donate quite a bit, but a lot of it was just cheap, old, broken, water damaged, cat damaged junk that needed to go in the trash. So we got rid of it all, and it was such a relief. I wasn't emotionally attached to much of any of it, but going through it did bring back some memories and put in perspective how far Tim and I have come in life. And it was just a lot of old stuff that had served its purpose for us back when we were younger and living in smaller spaces with less money. But as big of a relief as it was to have all of that stuff gone and to finally have free space in our basement and garage, that big clear out sort of shifted the feel of the energy in my home. And I found myself in a little bit of a funk for a while. It was sort of odd. The one piece of furniture I decided to part with that did have sentimental value was my mom's old makeup vanity. Now, this thing was a puny little dark brown desk made out of MDF with a really ugly, cheap looking veneer that was probably from the late 70s, early 80s, and it was never a valuable piece of furniture by any means. I'm pretty sure my mom had acquired it as a hand-me-down, and then I somehow became the owner of it, and I honestly hadn't even used this thing since Tim and I lived in our very first apartment together, but I just kept saving it and bringing it along through the years because it just had some memories wrapped up in it. And unfortunately, we had a pipe burst, so it got water damaged, and also at some point Glenn knocked over a can of paint in our basement, which splattered on the desk, and I decided it wasn't worth salvaging because honestly, it was only ever gonna sit in our basement for all time anyways. So off it went, and even though it's gone, the memories aren't gone. They're just very simple memories from when I was a very little girl, just watching my mom get ready for the day. You know, just getting dressed and blow drying her hair and putting her makeup on. My mom had this old school trick of putting on mascara and then separating her lashes with the tip of a safety pin. So dangerous. And I remember my mom liked Clinique makeup, all of the green marble packaging. I'm pretty sure she still uses a lot of Clinique. And I remember her old makeup mirror with the magnification and the lights. And on her mirror, she always kept a little Valentine that I had given to her. It was one of those cheap Valentines that came in a box, you know, a sheet of perforated Valentines that you rip apart and then write your classmates' names on them and take them to school. I had given one of those to my mom when I was probably in preschool. And it had a picture of a monster on it. Not a scary monster, like a cutesy monster. And I believe the monster's head was like kind of heart-shaped, and it was looking in a mirror, I think. But I distinctly remember that on it said, "You look marvelous." That was the message in the text on the front of Valentine. And I gave it to my mom, and she always kept it right on her mirror. I just have sweet memories of my mom just being a lady, you know, and me being a very little girl, just being with her and watching her, you know? That period of her life was when she was a single mom. So it was just her and me. And I would say that was the time in our lives together that I felt she was the most emotionally available to me, I would say. And when I really felt the most close to her, and also like I really knew her as a person and who she was as an individual, because it was just her and me, and she took me everywhere, and we did a lot together, and I just felt so close to her back in those days, you know? It does sort of break my heart that that must have been a tough time in life for my mom. Those years when I was really little and she was single and we lived with my grandma were the best years of my childhood for me. That's where my sweetest memories come from. That's where, like, my core values as a person come from. And I'm sure my mom's memories of that time are more complex. Anyway, there was a day after our big basement clear out where I was sort of wrapped up in memories of my mom and thinking about how things changed after we moved away to Nebraska and how things are now. And I was feeling really sad. And then my favorite tarot reader, who I watch on YouTube, uploaded a new video. Now, I do not believe in tarot at all. I just watch tarot readings from this one particular person because they're really entertaining, and I just like her voice. I like how she interprets the cards. I like the different decks she uses because there's a whole lot of art in tarot decks if you're not familiar with them. All sorts of artists just make their own individual decks, and they're really interesting. And just the original traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck, the symbolism within that deck is pretty cool. There's a lot to like about tarot for entertainment, you know? And this particular tarot reader, like I said, I like her voice, I like her interpretations, and also she references a lot of spiritual stories and folklore from other cultures, so I feel like I learn a lot from her when I listen to her tarot readings. But anyway, that day when I was feeling really sad, she uploaded a tarot reading, and that one just resonated with me. I came away from it going, holy cow, like God intended for me to listen to that. So the tarot reader, her name is Reem, and her YouTube channel is called White Feather Tarot, by the way. So Reem had 4 piles of cards for you to choose from to get your reading, and each pile had one overturned card, so you could pick the image on the card that appealed most to you. I usually go straight to pile 4 just because 4 is like my favorite number, and I'm just not that invested. This is just entertainment for me because I like Reem herself more than the tarot. But this particular day, pile 4 had a card with a picture of a cow with a pair of scales hanging from its horns. My mom is a Taurus, and I'm a Libra. And the messages in that reading just really applied to my life and my relationship with my mom in a really uncanny way. And it was really comforting, and I seriously felt like God wanted to speak to me and just reached out to me through those tarot cards, which is going to piss a lot of people off saying that God speaks through tarot. I know that's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, but like I myself don't even believe in tarot, okay? And I also know that me saying that I feel like God was talking to me is also going to make people think that I'm dumb or crazy, but I'm just being honest about a really sort of profound experience I had that really meant a lot to me. So if you disagree with me, I hope you can just appreciate that, I guess. So yeah, that was a thing that happened. Anyway, also this past month, Tim and I had bought tickets to a reptile expo. We just thought it would be something new and interesting to check out, bring the kids along to see some interesting critters, but somewhere in the days counting down to the expo, Tim twisted my arm to let him get a pet snake. And he didn't have to twist that hard because I just adore all animals and I'm pretty much always down for a new pet. So for a couple weeks there, he and I had a lot of fun collaborating, deciding what type of snake we would like to get, and creating a really nice habitat for it. So then it was Expo Day, and we had a great time exploring the event. There were so many cool reptiles and amphibians to see, lots of vendors with cool pet supplies and fun decorative collectible merch. It was a great time, a really interesting day, and we brought home a ball python. She is about a year old, so she's not a small snake, but she still has quite a bit of growing left to do. And she's a really pretty banana morph, so she is yellow and gray with some black freckles. She's really pretty and quite cute. And Tim named her Betty Spaghetti. I absolutely love her name. Here's a little picture of her. I know a lot of people are very afraid of snakes and just hate snakes, so I doubt I'll ever bring Betty on camera here with me one day, but here's a picture of our new pet snake. We really like her. None of us here in our family is afraid of snakes. I had pet corn snakes when I was a kid, and Betty's just really cool. She's just very gentle and chill and pretty to look at, and she's really easy keeper so far. She seems really healthy and happy, and my kids are having an interesting experience having a new reptile in the house. They already really adore Calcifer and appreciate Calcifer, so now they get to have a pet snake too. So we're really excited about Betty. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, we celebrated Sylvia's birthday. She turned 8 years old in June, and she requested a rainbow-themed party, so that is what she got. Birthday decorations are just my favorite part. It's what's the most fun for me to put together, so I usually transform our dining room to whatever theme my kids request for their birthdays, and this was some of my best work yet. I adored that balloon arch. I bought the structure and supplies to make it, so now I own those things and can make a balloon arch whenever I darn well feel like it. I was really tempted to just perpetually replace those balloons and keep it as permanent decor in my house, but of course it's not practical, so it did eventually have to come down, but it was super cool. And Sylvia loved her decorations. She loved her presents and her cake. She had a great day. We went to the trampoline park to play because that was her request, and it was just a fun little birthday, just the four of us. Sylvia really enjoyed her day, and she is so special. I tell her all the time, I'm so glad you're my daughter and not some other stinky girl. I adore her, and I can't believe she is growing up so fast, and I'm really proud of her. Well, that's all I have to talk about today. Thanks for listening to me while I rambled about my life there for a little while. I hope it was at least somewhat interesting, and also thank you for being so patient with my inconsistent floss tubing. I still care so much about this channel and cross stitch, and I'm giving it everything I can, but my life has just sort of become so hectic that I feel like it's not quite enough. I'm really sorry. But the next time you see me, I should have my temperature rain clouds pattern ready to send out to you if you would like that. I really hope that can make some of you smile. And again, please keep my sister-in-law in your prayers if you can. And if there's anything going on with you that you would like me to pray about for you, please let me know. You guys are my stitchy buddies, and I've gotten to know so many of you, and you are always on my mind. And I so enjoy seeing all of your stitching. I follow so many of you on Instagram, and it's really fun to see what y'all out there are making. So until next time, God loves you, and I love you, and happy stitching. Bye-bye.